Hello and welcome to another episode of the Monday Night Wars. It is April 22nd, 1996, and it is my birthday. So that is very important. That's the most important thing we will discuss today. But with me, as always, is Joseph, the brain, the body, the total package, Rojas. How are you today, sir?
I didn't get you anything, Scott.
You actually did get me something.
I
Ladies,
did.
ladies and gentlemen, I don't know, what would you describe it as? It's an Owen Hart. What is it? What do they call
So
these?
so I think I don't remember what they call it, but there's a figure line that are called micro brawlers, and they've been running on Pro Wrestling Tees. They'll sell them through them for years now. They'll be like, "Hey, here's a exclusive Sting one," and you'll have a short run where you can buy them, and then they're out. And they have like a bunch of different Macho Man, same thing. It's always in a short run, and so they've been recently doing the same style, but putting them as plushies. And so they had an Owen Hart one, and it happened to go on sale right before your birthday. And I was like, well, my boy loves him some Owen Hart. So
That he does. Owen Hart, best Hart, in my opinion. I know it's controversial, but I think it's true. Anyways, let's get to business. And the business is that we are live with WCW Nitro at the Albany Civic Center. And where else but Albany, New York? Oh, no, it's Albany, Georgia. I got to say, I love this about America, where we have cities that are well known,
yeah,
where they are, Albany, New York, and all those kind of places. But then we have places where they have the same name, and it's confusing. And they're mostly in Texas. Like there's a New York, Texas. There's a Paris, Texas. Like I love it. We just don't care. Oh, one of the most famous cities in the world is named New York City. Whatever. We'll name our city that too.
it's like when I was a kid, and I might cut this, but I think it's hilarious. When I was a kid, I grew up on a street called Oakdale, and the street right next to it was California. And so I grew up in Southern California. So I grew up essentially on a street called California. In my mind, I had no concept at like the age of 5 or 6 what the difference between a street and a state was. So I was like, yeah, I'm from California, right? But then I went to Washington Elementary. So I thought that was going over into Washington, which was a few cities over. And then I remember them showing us a map and being like, Washington's way up here. And I was like, honestly, Washington and California aren't that far apart. I do this drive every day, guys. What are you talking about?
No big deal. No big deal. Also, you're totally going to get doxxed.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But who cares, right? You don't live there anymore.
Yeah.
They can't find you. Anyways, we got some matches. Well, first, we got Bobby, we got Eric, we got Mongo, as always, but we also got some matches. And the first match is the American males, Marcus Alexander Bagwell, and Scotty Riggs versus Public Enemy, Johnny Grudge, Rocco Rock. I gotta say, Joseph, did not hate this match. Did not hate it. I will say Eric Bischoff gives away the Raw results again. He calls it the World Whining Federation. And he calls Goldust a RuPaul impersonator and a goofball. The match ultimately ends, though, via DQ. The American males win 7 minutes, 23 seconds. But it's one of this over-the-top rope nonsense DQs, which they seem to change whether or not that's the rule week to week. But apparently it's the rule this week. But then Buff Bagwell gets put through a table. So it's okay. What'd you think?
I love that you mentioned the over the top rule and how kind of stop start it is, because that's literally one of my notes. I honestly, you mentioned that the match isn't like bad, right? You actually kind of enjoyed it. I really was enjoying it to an extent. I guess I kind of underappreciated the American males a lot. I don't know if I ever necessarily hated them, but I definitely wasn't like they're not one of my top tag teams. They probably never will be, but I think what they do is pretty interesting. I enjoy them. They also kind of force Public Enemy to have an actual wrestling match for the most part, which was why I was enjoying this. I don't mind extreme rules or death matches or hardcore matches or whatever you want to call them. I don't mind them if they're done well and they are purposefully used in a story. I have no problem with that. I mind them when it's like every week. For some reason they do this, which is what Public Enemy does, right? Every week it's some sort of hardcore match. Why? I don't understand it. So for the most part, I'm enjoying this. and then they do the DQ thing, and it's like, that wasn't needed. You like, it didn't help anybody. I guess you could try to make an argument, I'm sure this is what they were thinking, well, we don't necessarily want American males to lose because they are one of our top tag teams, but we also don't want Public Enemy to lose because they're this new hot tag team. So what if we do a weird DQ finish and then Public Enemy gets to do the whole table spot, which really kind of highlights them anyways. I understand kind of what they were going for, but it left me feeling really flat. I gave the match a C. Like I said, it wasn't bad by any stretch, wasn't good. And I think if it just didn't have this DQ finish, I probably would have given this a B. You're not wrong when you say this was pretty entertaining to start the show. Also, I don't know if you mentioned this, but Eric Bischoff also mentions that Brian Pillman has just had his accident and that they're praying for him and hope he like comes out okay. So this is, I believe, when that has just happened.
I did not mention it, so thank you for mentioning it. This again, I don't understand why we had to do the DQ over the top thing. I feel like American males could have won clean, and then Public Enemy could have just put them through tables after in frustration, and it still would have kind of maintained both of these characters. You know, that the American males are kind of one of their top tag teams, and Public Enemy are just this destructive force in WCW. It feels like that would have worked without the messy DQ finish. But that's how we booked it. After that, though, we've got the first round draw for the Slamboree Lethal Lottery, Joseph. And do you know who's been paired up against each other?
Who's that, Scott?
You'll never guess.
Okay, Booty Man
No,
and oh no, okay.
no,
Hulk Hogan and we're gonna go with Taskmaster.
no.
Okay, who then?
Savage and Flair. What are the chances?
You know what's funny with these things is I actually love that, by the way. I think with their storyline, this is a very clever idea. This really is the segment, right? It's just kind of that. Mean Genes with Emily and Cherry, and I don't know where they're from, but they
I believe they are Hooters girls.
okay,
I believe that
gotcha.
was said.
That's the best possible outcome because it's not what I was thinking when I saw them. This is fine. The segment's fine. I think this kind of idea, and they're not the only ones who will do this. WWE will do this with like picking Royal Rumble entrance and stuff like that. I like the idea of kind of like it's random. That's cool. But it is one of those things where all those things had to be blank because they like shuffle them, and then by chance the two guys who are in your biggest bitter rivalry get paired up. Like, okay, which is fine. I'm not criticizing it, but
What are the chances?
I like it, to be honest. I'm not I sound like I'm being down on it, but I do like it from a story standpoint. When you could put bitter rivals in a tag team match with each other, it usually ends in something fun. So I'm kind of okay with it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I actually really like the Lethal Lottery, even though I'm making fun of it. But it's just kind of like, it's just wrestling. Wrestling's just fun this way, where it's like, yeah, no, of course that would be it.
Yeah.
But I just thought it was fun, and yeah, and I believe they are Hooters girls. I read that somewhere. I remember reading that somewhere, so it may not be true. That could have been something speculating, but if I recall, it was Hooters girls. But maybe not. Speaking of controversy, we got another match, and it's Chris Benoit. It's Chris Benoit and Eddie Guerrero. Need I say more? It's a great match. It's 7 minutes, 30 seconds. Chris Benoit defeats Eddie Guerrero. But importantly, Eric Bischoff talks about a cruiserweight title tournament that is apparently ongoing that I don't think I've actually ever heard of before or is happening.
Yeah,
So I thought that was interesting.
that whole thing's been weird because every once in a while they'll be like, and then the cruiserweight title was defended, and I'm like, what, when, where?
Yeah, and apparently Bobby Eaton is still in the running for the cruiserweight title. And I'm like, what's the weight requirement for the cruiserweight title?
Yeah, that is the thing that WWE did, and they made it so on the nose with 205 Live. The whole idea was you had to be 205 pounds or under to be considered a cruiserweight. To be clear, I'm not
Not
saying
here.
that was good. I didn't like it. I didn't like 205 Live.
Not here. I mean, that's a banger name though. I like the 205 Live. I like that alliteration. I guess is it considered alliteration? I don't know. Rhymes? I don't know.
Yeah, it's a rhymes. I don't know if it's alliteration.
I don't know. If you anyone who listens and has access to a dictionary, look it up.
Well, isn't alliteration when it's like the things that start with the same letter?
Yes, it
Like
is.
Peter Parker, yeah.
Yeah, but I
Yeah.
wasn't. I
Just
didn't
think if Stan Lee would do it, it's alliteration. That's
I
the
don't
same.
want I just didn't want you to make me look foolish on the podcast, and then you did.
You'll never look foolish on the podcast.
Thank
Everyone
you, I
we get
appreciate it.
letters all the time. Scott's the smart one.
Man, that is so nice.
Yeah.
That's so nice.
I
Thank you,
definitely
fans.
I definitely did not make that up.
They're all sent by Jay Rojas. Interestingly enough. No, I think that's John. Just weird we have the same last name.
Yeah, John Jacob Jingleheimer
Yeah.
Schmidt. His name's my name too, you know. Anyways,
Oh! This is a podcast for the ages. We're gonna wanna slam you for this one.
going back to this match though, I gave the match a B. It's a really fun match. These guys will always have always had great chemistry. They're fantastic, right? They're a lot of fun to watch. But I will say, and this is a negative, this is kind of the second straight match that WCW's had that hasn't moved any storylines forward. I know their next pay-per-view isn't for quite a few weeks, so they can technically get away with that a little bit, but I'd still like to see more storylines driven. But it's still two pretty decent matches. This one's a lot better than the last one. So it's at least a hot start for WCW.
Bro, this is part of the non-existent cruiserweight title tournament. What are you talking about? That's the story, and
My
I'm
bad.
sticking to it. After that, though, WCW has had enough of Randy Savage's antics, and they send someone from the head office to confront the Macho Man. They say, "You got to stop attacking him. There will be severe ramifications." Joseph, what do you think of this?
I loved this. This whole segment got an A. Rob Garner, who we've never met before, but apparently is a bigwig at WCW. And they're going to do this a few times with WCW people until they finally land on JJ Dillon. And then JJ Dillon kind of becomes that guy, which I love. I personally, I've always been a fan of like the general manager, the commissioner, whatever that kind of role is. I love it. WCW will do it pretty well here and there. Then they'll have some that are really bad. WWF will do it pretty well here and there. Then they'll have some that are pretty bad. It's like any role in storytelling. It's just you have to have the right person to do it. And there's been some great ones in the history of wrestling. So I love this idea. Rob Garner will not be the guy. We might see him a few more times. I don't remember. But then JJ Dillon finally takes over. He won't take over until we're well into the NWO. And then that kind of JJ Dillon really has a purpose because Eric Bischoff is Mr. NWO now. So they need a Mr. WCW. And JJ Dillon really fits that role. Mach interrupts this, and Mach, comes out and he proves three things, Scott. The first thing, I was critical of his outfit last week. It's the first time I've given him a bad grade. He proved that he can bounce back outfits and have this beautiful lavender black and gold A+ outfit. That's the first thing he proved. Second thing he proved is he's simply one of the best ever on the mic. When he said, "I'm the tag team partner from hell," I loved it. I thought it was great. That's about as best as I can do right now because my voice is still in recovery mode. So that's all you're getting as far as Mach goes. And he proved a third and final thing, Scott, which is that late 90s, early 2000s sunglasses are the best.
You dirty dog, always with those sunglasses.
That's
Anyways,
the most ridiculous response
what?
I've ever heard. I love what is this? The 1940s?
That's a Norm Macdonald bit. He'd always say, "You dirty dog." Oh, miss you, Norm. Rest in peace. But yes, I also very much enjoyed this. I mean, it's a Macho Man bit. It's Macho Man. What more do we need? What more do we need? I'll tell you what more we need. We need Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and we got him. We got him in singles action versus Meng, and I like both these guys. Very excited to see this match. Banger of a match, I dare say. 6 minutes. Hacksaw Jim Duggan defeats Meng. Eric Bischoff shit talks WWF again. The only thing that can penetrate a Samoan skull is apparently a fist wrapped up in duct tape. Joseph, what'd you think of this banger match? 5 stars.
You're right. It was a banger. It got a B for me. B for banger. Loved it. I did enjoy this thoroughly. There's no storyline in this, or maybe there will be. Maybe this will start a new feud. I have no idea. But the minute these guys came out, I was like, this is a Scott match. This is a Scott match right here. It got everything you could hope for, right? It got the two guys you love. It got USA chants. It got Hacksaw headbutting Meng, and you don't headbutt a Samoan. You don't do it. Has wrestling taught you nothing? their foreheads are made of steel or whatever the mythos is. Hacksaw's got great facial expressions. This match has so many ups and downs. I genuinely didn't know who was going to win it, which I love. And then, somehow, like you said, you can't hit a Samoan in the forehead unless you tape your freaking hand, in which case it makes your hand lethal. I don't know why this is. I've never understood it. This is I don't think this is a wrestling mythos thing. If it is, please give me some examples if you're listening to this. From what I understand, this just seems to be a hacksaw thing, and he sells it so well every time, and I loved it, and it was great. It was a very fun match, kind of a continuation of just a really fun Nitro.
I kind of like it the best when it doesn't make sense. I don't, yeah, he's the only person I ever see that wraps his fist up in duct tape. It supposedly makes his fist like as hard as concrete or something, right? But it's like, it's just a fist wrapped in duct tape, but it's the most lethal weapon we've ever seen. And it doesn't make sense. And I love it. It's fantastic. It is phenomenal. You know what else is phenomenal, Joseph?
What's that, Scott?
Our next lethal lottery drawing. It is the Belfast Bruiser and Steven Regal. Ooh, I can smell the tension from here. I think it's good. I like it.
Yeah, I gave this one a B. It's not as good as the first one because they've really been doing a lot with the Macho Man and Ric Flair rivalry. With this one, they've been kind of peppering it in. We've seen it. We have seen that these two are rivals. So I again, like just like I liked the previous one, I like that idea. Put two, people who should not be together. Also, kind of low key, I kind of just wish that Steven Regal and Belfast Bruiser were a tag team. Like, I'd be down for that. Whatever. We're not going to get that. I will say, though, going forward, I don't know if these two are going to make it to their tag team match because it gets hairy next week. But that's next week. We're talking about this week. I loved it, Scott. Got to be.
I mean, these two keep putting on banger matches, and I agree that they would be a great tag team. The problem is the troubles haven't been settled yet. That's not until 1997 with the Good Friday Agreement. So up to this point, can't happen. Just cannot happen.
I love you so much right now for that.
What?
That was great. I like that.
Everybody knows about the Good Friday Agreement, which I'm going to look up to make sure that I am right about. That it wasn't. It wasn't. It was in 1998, it looks like. So I'm going to fix that.
At least it was a little bit later, not before.
Yeah, no, it was 1998.
Okay.
Don't
It still works.
I'm not gonna redo this.
No, don't redo it.
People
It's
have to
great.
know. I mean,
Fuck
off
it.
the
We're doing
dome
it
that I
live.
was yeah, off the dome, I was pretty damn close, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Anyways, 1998 Good Friday Agreement, everything's okay, but not yet, and that's why they can't be a tag team. So there you have it. Little geopolitics in our wrestling. Who would have thought? After that, though, and remember, Hulk Hogan is on extended leave for some reason to do a movie or something. I don't know. But he's not around right now. And we have a match that he would have probably been in had he been around, and it would have sucked. But instead, he's not here, and I like it. We got Lex Luger and Sting versus Sting and the Giant, and it's for like everything. Like every title these dudes got's on the line. There's like the heavyweight championship, the television championship, the tag team championship. It's all on the line tonight. Good, fun match. 7 minutes, 25 seconds. It ends via DQ. Our heroes, Lex and Sting, win it. But here's how it happens. Flair tries to throw coffee, but he accidentally hits the Giant. And that's how we get our DQ. It's chaos. And Giant gets a shot at the title next week. And he is mad. Joseph, what'd you think about this?
I don't know if I'm breaking any of my rules here, but I'm going to give this one an A. I don't think I am because there is storylines going on, and that's kind of my number one rule. I thoroughly enjoyed everything going on here. Number one, Flair comes out in his Sell the Team Sacramento A's gear. And I love that. Then him and Sting we've talked about it before. I think we spent like the first few months talking about it. Their chemistry is off the charts. It never gets old watching them wrestle each other. And I genuinely feel like, Flair will sell for anybody. I know that. I'm not saying that he doesn't, But I just feel like with Sting, because of how much they've been through, he just gives it that little extra oomph. You know what I mean? And it's so good every time. I loved watching them. I think Crazy Mach comes out. We have officially Crazy Mach now. Like this night cements he is Crazy Mach. He's not just kind of paranoid Mach. No, he's Crazy Mach, and he actually gets himself arrested because he goes into attack Flair before the match even starts. And I loved that. Another storyline moving forward, which is great. Then on top of that, you have this DQ finish, which I think really is the only logical finish you could do in all this, because a DQ means no titles change hands unless that was established prior to a match. That's the way it works in wrestling. So you had to have some sort of DQ finish so that way none of these titles move. But you have the idea of maybe they will, which I think kind of works. Again, I don't really like the World Heavyweight title being defended, foreshadowing next week, but it is what it is. But I like this kind of almost very inventive way. I don't know if it's been done before. All the titles on the line. It will be done a few times in the future, both in WCW and WWE. I think potentially AEW might have even done it once or twice. It's TNA, I know, has done it. So it's a good fun way to get audience intrigue. I thought this was a phenomenal end to the show. And I think the show, also Sting's in his rainbow gear that he finally wears, and it gets an A+ this week, but he'll kind of be in this gear for the rest of his run until Crow Sting happens. So this is probably the last time I'm going to grade Sting, because he doesn't really change a whole lot after this until Crow Sting. But it's a great end to the show. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Got an A for me.
And I wonder what grade you'll give Crow Sting. I wonder. But that's pretty much it. That's Nitro. Unless I'm missing anything. Am I missing anything, Joseph?
No, I don't think you are. This show was just kind of top to bottom. It was really fun. It got a B+ for me.
I liked it. It's certainly on the upswing versus what we've seen, because WCW's kind of been floundering, in my opinion. And this was a good night. It's weird how good it is without Hulk Hogan. I'm just saying.
You know what else is good, Scott?
Tell me.
We got another Patreon subscriber.
Just now?
Well, not just now, but I wanted to find the right time, the right segue for it, and you teed it up perfectly for me. Ronnie Schmidt, who we have been hyping, has joined our Patreon. Ronnie, appreciate you. Thank you for spending $2 a month on us. We love it. Speaking of spending on us, which that sounded weird. There's no obligation in any sort of way, but Spotify does have a kind of donation system. This is our PBS broadcasting bit, made possible by viewers like you. They do have a system for that where you can donate if you feel like you want to go through that system. There's no obligation, though. Me and Scott do this for fun. The best way, honestly, to donate to this podcast is either A, if you want to do it monetarily, subscribe to our Patreon. That's the way I think both of us would prefer, because you get content for it. And if you're going to give us money, we should give you something in return. And then also, if you are subscribed to us on Spotify, please give us a rating. We've got 8 5-star ratings, which is great, but we've got significantly more subscribers. So if you're listening to this episode, it takes 2 seconds. Just drop a 5-star. You could even give us a 4-star. If you give us a 3-star, we're gonna fight. We're gonna throw hands. But 4, 5, whatever you feel, man, that works for me. That's my nice spiel heading into the next segment, Scott.
Someone's going to give us a 3-star now just because you threatened them. They're like,
I
oh,
know.
yeah?
Oh, yeah? You gonna throw hands with me? No, not really. I'm kind of a bitch.
Yeah. We talk a damn good game.
Oh, yeah.
A damn good game. But let's segue out of this. To the Orange Pavilion.
In where, Scott? In where?
In San Bernardino, California. San Bernardino. Like, they're going to give us a 1-star. They're like, I hate the way you say it. I can't do this. Anyways, we're at the Orange Pavilion, San Bernardino, California. This is like the 87th time we've been there. I think they do it like in 4-week installments, like a month.
Something like that. I will say, though, this is the last time that we're there. So you had to really hit hard on this one, and you did it.
The crescendo.
Yeah.
Yes. And we are taped with WWF Raw. The first match of the night is Goldust versus Savio Vega for the vacant WWF Intercontinental Championship, because that happened last week for some reason. This is a rematch because I think WWF realizes that it was dumb. Of note, Jerry is a pervert.
Mhm.
Of other notes, the Ultimate Warrior threatens Goldust with home invasion, which I think is a crime. Stone Cold hits Savio with the $1 million belt while the ref is distracted by Marlena, and Goldust gets the win. And I am confused because isn't this exactly what happened last week when they vacated the title, and then it happens again, but now Goldust gets the title? I don't know what's going on. And also, these people in the stadium got to watch a Goldust Savio Vega match twice in like 2 hours.
Yeah, that's true.
So what is going on here?
I will say this. So I gave this a B plus. We enjoyed the match for the most part, except for the ending last time. I enjoyed the match again this time. I will say that it got a B plus for me, which I think I graded higher than the previous one because this one not only has a decisive ending, but also it has the added bonus of Steve Austin getting involved, which progresses the storyline between him and Savio Vega. Steve Austin cheating by hitting Savio Vega with the $1 million title. That's the kind of thing I want to see in a go home show for a match. Like I want to see that added bit of dastardly heelness or whatever that's going to make me hyped to watch a pay-per-view. So I thoroughly enjoyed that. There is storyline going in here. It's not a great match. I think honestly these two had a better match last week in my opinion, but so I didn't give it an A. I thought about giving it an A minus, but I think B plus is a pretty freaking good grade. So really good start to the show in my opinion.
Yeah, I like the match. I like the guys. I'm confused by the finish. Maybe I'm misremembering, but isn't this kind of exactly what I mean? It wasn't Stone Cold. It was, I believe, Goldust hit him with the belt,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
they vacated the title because of it. And then it just happens again. They're like, no, but this time it's fine.
Yeah, but also Scott, shut the fuck up. Like just just
Is,
enjoy it.
is this like the over the rope DQ rule at
Yeah,
WCW? Like,
yeah.
don't worry about it.
I
Just
mean,
sometimes,
who's to say who did what to who? You know what I mean?
sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't.
I don't know that they thought that far ahead, Scott. I really don't. I also don't know genuinely. I don't know if they're if because you mentioned
Been
this.
an hour since the last
Well,
match
that's
every
what I'm saying though.
time.
I don't know if what they did was if they filmed that match a while like before and then filmed this match. Like, I don't know if 1 week really is lined up that way when they were doing their live shows. I have no idea. But anyways, is it similar? Yeah, to an extent, but at least this one involves a storyline that's actually happening.
All right. I'll let you have it. I will let you have it.
You could say it's less of a grade. That's fine. I don't care.
I mean, I like the guys. I like the match. I just don't understand the finish because I thought hitting people with the belts was the problem.
Yeah,
But I guess
I
it's
think
not.
if you had done maybe a low blow in the last week or this week, either one of them, it probably would have worked better.
Or just not done it. Just I don't know.
Actually, you know what would have been hot? What would have been really good is if last week had this ending, and then this week it was Steve Austin in the match, and then Savio Vega tagged him back.
Mm. Now that would have been gold. We just rebooked that to the moon.
And then you'd be way more hyped for the show. Because I will say this is the go home show, and not to give any spoilers, it's not a great go home show.
No, no. But we do get Vader,
We do versus
and we do
who?
get Fatu.
Hell
I
yeah.
like Fatu. Oh, it's so exciting to see him in a match. Oh, he gets squashed. We join this one in progress because they don't even care enough to give him intros. And Vader is stomping a mud hole in Fatu. We get a Vader salt. It's over in 2 minutes. Joseph, what do you think about this one? Vader wins.
Well, Fatu is absolutely too cool, but he ain't
Mm.
gonna win. He ain't gonna win this match. We all know this. We knew this going in, but Vader hitting the moonsault or Vader salt, whatever they call it, that's always impressive. It's just so impressive watching him do that. I gave it a C because it's just a squash match. I will say in the small amount of time that they had, Vader did let Fatu get a pretty decent amount of offense in, which I always appreciate when the person who is obviously going to win lets that happen. I always think that's really nice of them, but I can't grade it any higher than that. But it also wasn't bad, so I can't grade it any lower. There you go.
So you have it. Yeah, I mean, it's a squash match. Vader is steamrolling people. That's what's going on right now. We knew that coming into that. But Vader's good, Fatu's good. Vader sells for people. He's stiff when he needs to be, when he needs to be unstoppable force, but he sells too. And I thought it was fun. There was good back and forth, but Vader had to win, and he wins in Vader fashion of just overwhelming the opponent. But meanwhile, in Germany, Joseph, and we have friends in Germany, don't we?
Who do we got in Germany, Scott?
Well, we have a Patreon subscriber, Ronnie Schmidt, in Germany.
Hell yeah.
Hey, Ronnie. Anyways, we are in Germany. They are doing some shows in Germany right now on April 22nd, 1996, and we get some clips from it. The Bulldog is attacking Jake the Snake Roberts. What a nasty man. But Jake gets the upper hand. He gets the DDT and puts the snake on him. I don't really get what's so powerful about the snake just kind of crawling on you, but I like it all the same.
I mean, this is during the time when like everybody just assumed snakes were like the most horrible thing. Those and spiders, right? So you had like Indiana Jones and stuff. You'd have like always scenes where someone just gets a bunch of snakes dumped on them or a bunch of spiders or whatever. And it was like, that's a big thing. That was a big thing in the 80s and 90s, man.
And there you have it. And that's what happens. And apparently they're going to be in PPV competition on Sunday. Very exciting. Very exciting. I don't really think it's that exciting, but all the same. After that, we got the Godwins, Henry Godwin and Phineas Godwin with Hillbilly Jim versus, hold on, let me put my peepers on for this one, Yoshihiro Tajiri and Ken Patterson, the famous tag team of Yoshihiro Tajiri and Ken Patterson.
Yeah, you're really struggling to pronounce Ken Patterson.
Yeah. Famous tag team, well-known tag team. What could possibly happen in this match? Who knows? Of note, Hillbilly Jim chases Sonny away with his dog. I thought that they were the good guys. Is that a good guy thing? I don't know. But after the Godwins win, because of course they're going to win, the Body Donnas attack and slap Phineas. Joseph, what do you make of this mess?
Well, you kind of alluded to the Hillbilly Jim thing kind of being a bad guy thing. I don't think so. I think this is very clearly good guys versus bad guys because Sonny's trying to distract him. That's what she's doing. So he kind of chases her off. And then obviously you have the ending. But let's talk about the fact that this is that Tajiri. I know you remember Tajiri. How do you not remember Tajiri?
I had to put my peepers on.
Buzzsaw kick, poison mist. You remember Tajiri. Anyways, it is that Tajiri, but he isn't really that Tajiri just yet. I don't know how much work he's done in ECW already. In my mind, I always picture him in the pants. So I just really don't know his kind of Japan career before this. I don't really know, like, was he in trunks before that? I always remember the pants version. But he's he's great. I love Tajiri, but unfortunately he just isn't in that position. Him and well-known wrestler Ken Patterson, big guy, they get jobbed out and it's not great. And it gets the whole thing got a D for me. Predictably, the Godwins win. Then the Bidons, like you said, attack them, and like you said, they slap Phineas. Technically, this is a storyline continuing, but I despise both tag teams and don't care. I gave it a D.
Oh, hey, it's Tajiri. I know that guy. He's pretty good. I like him.
Tajiri's
We'll get
great.
there.
Yeah.
We'll get there. It's funny though. With the place where I get the match cards, it's just wrestlingfandom.com or whatever. So it's like a Wikipedia for wrestling stuff, and they have all the match cards and everything, and I just pull from there because it's easy. And they typically have times too and all that sort of stuff. But everyone has a hyperlink where I can go read about them except for Ken Patterson. He's got nothing.
No, because there's too much. If you put it all into a server, it would overload the server. That's why.
That's fair. That's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a good point. I never thought of it that way, and it's so true. You know what else is true?
I knew you were doing this. I knew you were trying to figure out how to make a segue out of this, and it's not working. But what's true, Scott?
Well, I know this much is true. Mankind's in a match.
Uh-huh.
What a segue. Mankind versus Aldo Montoya. I have a feeling this is not going to go well for our dear friend Aldo. Joseph, why don't you tell me about Mankind versus Aldo Montoya?
I gave this a C. It's just a squash. I mean, I really, my note here is this is a squash. There really isn't anything more to say, unfortunately. It just is a very quick match. Mankind wins very, very clearly. He hits the mandible claw. That's kind of it. Unfortunately, this is three back to back squash matches, and it's just like, this is the go home show. This is supposed to get me hyped to buy a pay per view. Okay,
Yeah, and this is the main event.
yeah.
This is it. And Mankind squashed Aldo Montoya. Savage the poor man.
hmm And Mankind's currently in a rivalry with Undertaker, right? So Undertaker didn't want to get involved in any sort of way. Like, what's going on?
Yeah, this is the moment where Undertaker comes out and they're
Yeah.
like staring at each other, and that's how you end the night, right? There's like, oh shit. But they didn't.
All right,
He went,
so let's rebook it, Scott. Same
rebook it
match.
for me.
Same match. Okay. It's gonna be a squash match. We all know this. Okay. Match finishes. Mankind, you know what? That music really isn't working. Or no, the music doesn't get played. Someone forgets to play the music to calm him
Mm,
down. So what does he
mm.
do? He goes into overdrive. He grabs a chair. He goes into the ring. He starts wailing on Aldo, and then dong, lights go out.
Mm.
Dong, lights go back on. Taker
Oh,
standing right behind Mankind, hits him with a choke slam and the tombstone, fade to black. Now you're ready for the pay-per-view. So
I loved
I'm
it.
I'm just gonna say this. He did a slow clap. The reason I'm saying is last time you tried to do that, the mics did not pick it up, or the way that our programming works intentionally cut it out. So just that was a slow clap, everybody, if you didn't hear it.
It might be too loud. It's registering on my end, but it might be too loud and it's just like sound canceling it. I'll try a golf clap here. Let's try this.
That does not sound like a golf clap. That sounds
What do you
like
mean?
that sounds like you could What should I
What do you
do
mean?
with your Jergens, sir?
What do you mean? What does it sound like? This is a kid's show, Joseph.
Pour it on some homeless
Anyways,
man.
anyways, anyways. I'm just gonna move on from your perversions and talk about how we end the night, because we end the night with a video package. We got the Shawn and Diesel feud. This is to hype us for the match at the pay-per-view. We then get a promo from Diesel. He's in Germany. Hi, Ronnie. He's in Germany, and I think he has been making ample use of Oktoberfest in this promo. What do you think, Joseph?
I thought it was fine. I really did enjoy his promo. I thought, he really is kind of just being the Kevin Nash that we're gonna get in WCW, and I really enjoy that. Unfortunately, like I've said a few times, WWF's just not gonna be able to do anything with it. But I kinda just really would have liked some sort of bitterness between these two. HBK is not featured really at all. You got this big title match, and you're gonna have a was it good friends, better enemies? You're gonna have this whole match, and these two guys haven't touched each other or been in the same ring to even talk to each other for 4 weeks leading up to this. You have a go home show. They do nothing to add on to it. I don't know why, if and this is kind of an unfortunate trend that WWF has been doing, which is that the go home shows for the pay-per-views are incredibly safe. They're usually jobber matches and maybe one kind of thing. Like, we did have the one thing in the beginning that elevated the pay-per-view, which was the Goldust and Savio Vega and then Steve Austin thing. And that's kind of it. They just do these really safe episodes. And I don't know why, if I have to pay for a pay-per-view, one pay-per-view a month, right? I can only afford one. Why I would pay for this pay-per-view? Because there's no intrigue going into it, other than the fact that you have these two incredible talents going at it for the World Heavyweight Champion, or the WWF Heavyweight Championship. It makes no sense to me. The show itself got a C. It's not bad. It's just so playing it safe and not hyping a pay-per-view at all. And I don't like that.
Well, what'd you think of the night there, Joseph?
I said it. I said the show got a C. The whole show got a C.
But who wins? I mean, so you ended with just such high praise for WWF here. Who won?
I think it's impossible from a just booking standpoint to say that WCW is not the better product this night.
I'm gonna have to take a bold stand here,
Okay.
very bold,
Yeah.
and agree with you.
That's never happened. This is the first
I
time.
know. I know. We so often disagree. But what did the fans think, Joseph? What do the ratings say?
The Nielsen for Raw was 3.3, so they're still staying hot.
My goodness. WCW was 2.7. It's actually down a little bit this week.
So the fans are wrong, is what we're saying.
Absolutely wrong. It's never been so over for the fans as it is right now. I guess you'll just have to tune in next week to see if the fans are so back or not. That's it from me. I'm Scott. As always, with Joseph, the body, mind, spirit, everything Rojas.
I'm the Holy Trinity?
Yes.
Okay.
The holy trinity of manliness.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Love it. Love it.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna stop you before you derail everything and then everybody unsubscribes from us. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Hey, everybody, it's Joseph. And guess what? Not only can you listen to us every Monday on Spotify, but you can find us on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and YouTube Podcasts as well. Just search for Monday Night Wars Podcast. If you want to reach out to us, you can find us on Twitter at MON Night Wars Pod, on Instagram at Monday Night Wars Podcast, or just email us at mnwpodcast@gmail.com. And finally, subscribe to our Patreon at Monday Night Wars Podcast. For $2 a month, you get every pay-per-view from WCW and WWF during this era, as well as additional content later on. Once again, thank you for listening. We'll see you here next time on the Monday Night Wars Podcast.